you're not just arriving and it's like, we'll ease you in. Like,
straight to it.
You're straight to it. You're not thrown in straight away with the campers or anything like that. But I arrived in the dark, which again, you don't even think of these things. And it is one of those things where you'll look back on yourself and you'll feel super proud.
I was going to say, because surely as well, if you're doing loads of camp visits and stuff, you want to get some stuff done before these guys then start holding you up, taking loads of footage.
Right, exactly. Slow coach. Huh? Definitely not. Byron was earlier. I was like, so you're going to America straight after? And he was like, yeah. So who's going with you? Don't know yet. And then you a penny dropped and you were like, you have to come. If I'm coming to Canada, you'll come to America.
You're going to go down that way as well.
I'm not sure about that.
Oh, travel friends. Little travel friends. But again, if you get to go to places like Quebec and stuff like that, it's completely different.
And I've never been to BC either, so
that would be cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Where, if I had to go first off, where would I go? Like, even just as a tourist, say if I was going on the content trip, but then I get time to travel, where would you say I should go?
I think you've got to go to like Calgary, and then you're close to the Rockies. You got Banff, you got Jasper.
Oh yeah, where's Banff? Because I see that on everything.
That's Alberta.
Oh, that is Alberta. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah,
it just looks unreal.
I know.
It looks unreal. Well, to be fair, that's probably also a good place to start actually thinking about it. That's a nice little transition in. But first off, Lizzie, thanks for coming back on.
That's
to
okay.
the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
No, all good. I was going to say, we were just talking about it just before we started recording then, weren't we? But the first time you would have jumped on the podcast was when we probably had first started doing it, which was about a year ago.
Yep.
And that's basically around about the time you started, weren't it?
Yeah, it seems like forever ago.
Yeah, it's just mad, especially with how busy this season's been and everything on both sides. But for those that haven't watched that one, do you want to maybe introduce yourself? A bit about what you do, because obviously this is the Camp Leaders podcast, but you're part of Camp Canada.
Yeah, so I work for Camp Canada. I am the marketing manager. So everything from emails that you get about your application and going through the different stages, to social media, all the videos you see on YouTube. You've probably seen my face somewhere.
You are the face of Camp Canada.
Wherever that might be. So that's pretty much what I do day to day. And yeah, everything Camp Canada, basically.
Boss. And I was going to say, you're someone that's been to camp as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So I did 4 years myself at camp.
Wow.
Back in 2016, I started. And as cliche as it is, and everyone says it, it changed my life.
Does though.
But it did, for sure. So yeah, I love everything about it. Truly believe in everything about it. So
yeah, I love it. Well, the one thing I kind of want to focus on, a lot of people that will be going to camp, whether it's Camp Leaders or Camp Canada, like the date I don't even know what date we're on at the moment, 5th of June, 6th of June, something like that. There's a lot of people who have probably started flying out already or are due to in the next few weeks. And we'll touch on it in part of this podcast. But one thing I think Camp Canada and part of Smaller Earth do fantastic is almost like the support structure that you've got for your applicants, and you've put together some super cool stuff. So 100% I want to cover that in a bit, but I probably want to take you back to your sort of first year. At this point now, when you're like, oh my God, I'm going to camp soon, you're buzzing, you're excited, you're nervous, you're overthinking. What were you like? Because my head was battered, to be quite honest. Do you know what I mean?
I remember, I applied quite late, to be fair, in the season. So my turnaround was very quick. So I think I didn't really have time to
get over,
to worry too much, because I was then going. But I definitely would have been nervous, because I mean, my first summer I was definitely very shy, I would say I got anxious about it. I'd never been out of Europe before. I'd never traveled solo before. So I definitely would have been nervous.
That's a lot of things as the first time as well.
But like, that's common. Like it's not just you. Right, exactly. You might think it's just you, but truly it's not. And I remember when I first got to camp, I arrived in the dark, which again, you don't even think of these things until you go to camp and that's your reality. I arrived in the dark. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see what camp was like. I went into a bunk and there was all these other people, and it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, but now what? You know? So those first few days were definitely tricky. Being that like shy person. I definitely like was way out of my comfort zone, very uncomfortable. shy. Like, I didn't want to speak to people. So yeah, those first few days I remember like crying.
Yeah.
Calling my mum like, Mum, this isn't for me. Like, I really don't think this is for me. What do I do? Should I come home?
Yeah.
And so like that's normal, right? But everyone else around you, it can feel like they're all having the best time. Everyone's settled in. Everyone knows each other. So yeah, it is a real mix of emotions when you first get there.
Yeah, definitely. I remember sort of myself, like I'm there thinking I'm relatively sort of confident person, but I remember some of the returners seeing each other.
Exactly.
And I had this like the little friendship and stuff, and I thought, oh my God, everyone's going to be like that. But it's not, is it? I'd say would you say the majority of people, they're all going to be first time staff as well?
100%. And that's what you don't realize it is they're returners, right? So when I first got there, I'm like, oh my goodness, all these people know each other. In actual fact, it's because they've been to camp last year as staff, or maybe they've been 3-4 years as staff. So after 10 months off in the normal year, they're seeing each other for the first time. Of course, they're going to be like super close, catching up. Yeah. And when you first get it, you don't realize that. But then obviously as time goes on, you realize, okay, they've been to camp before, and actually that's great because they're going to help you, teach you everything, right? But at first you don't realize that. So it's definitely something to have in the back of your mind. Like, these people may have already, but they might have already just been at camp for a week doing pre-camp or something, but it's definitely something to remember, but just give it time. It's
that shared experience, isn't it? We'll probably touch on that later, but once you've been through camp and everything, it's such a unique experience that you do kind of have that bond, don't you? You speak to people and then you're like, oh yeah, I get what you mean. And stuff.
Totally. And I mean, speaking to people, that's exactly like what you've got to do, right? Whether that be like, I was speaking to my mom at first and then meeting other people, but you've just got to give it time. Like, don't panic. And I know that's way easier said than done, but those first few days, everything you're feeling is normal. You've just got to give it time. Yeah. And then if you still feel like it after so long, okay, yes, speak to someone about it. Let's think about it. But don't like act on those first kind of, if your first few days are rough, like just don't act on it. Like, be patient. It's
that like the adrenaline wears off and then like jet lag kicks in as well. And you do just kind of go, and it's such a, it's just a crazy environment in the sense of there's loads of colours, there's loads of activity, and sometimes you're like, oh my God, I just need to sleep or anything like in the beginning, aren't you?
Totally. And because you're thrown into it straight away, like staff training week or pre-camp, if you're doing maintenance and things like that, getting camp ready, like you're not just arriving and it's like, we'll ease you in. Like,
you're straight to it.
You're straight to it. You're not thrown in straight away with the campers or anything like that, but you are thrown into camp, and you'll realize, like, looking back on it, great, it's the best way to go about it. Yeah. But at first you can be like, this is a lot. Yeah. It can feel overwhelming, right?
Well, it does. Like when you got there, how long was it from arrival through to when campers got there? Because it varies.
Yeah, for us, I think it was about 10 days. Because my first time I arrived slightly early because I had to do training for high ropes because that was my activity. So I think I was there about 2 weeks early, but normally for like staff training, a week before campers arrive, I would say is like the average, at least in Canada anyway. But it took me, I would say probably like 4 days to feel like, okay, you know what, actually
a bit more normal back into
I really like this. Yeah.
That's an interesting one. So in those first 4 days, and I think it's really important to kind of talk about this because it's very easy for us in the job that we're in to be like, oh, camp's absolutely boss. It's amazing. And it is, but you do have to almost get over a few little hurdles and challenges.
Yeah.
Those 4 days when you're feeling a bit homesick or you're feeling a bit down, or did you have any sort of strategies yourself? How did you cope with it? Because everyone deals with it in different ways, don't they?
100%. And like I said, like everything you feel is very normal.
Yeah, that's a good point to make.
Totally normal, whether you're nervous or you're having a bad day during the summer, like it's all very normal. I think my first few days, to be honest, like I said, I spoke to my mum, like that was my like reassurance, I guess. So whether you've got friends or family outside that you can contact, obviously we also know like contacting, it's not going to be super easy straight away or having the time, but I think it's just finding someone that you can speak to at camp, whether that be outside or inside, preferably inside, they're in the same environment as you. So a friend that you've arrived with maybe on the bus, or whether it be your camp director, your unit head or your activity head. But I think you've just got to be super honest, like, it's very hard to be vulnerable. But if you can say to someone, you know what, actually I'm still feeling a bit like I haven't settled in yet, a million people will be around you to help you. So it is just like having that confidence to speak to somebody, I guess. But also, if you just being patient with yourself. Yeah. Like I said, don't act super quickly on, oh, I hate this, I've got to go, or I don't like this, I've got to go, because it might it will change. It will change. So you've just got to like give yourself time. But I mean, in general, camp's so exciting. It's a busy place. That will impact your well-being, like what we're going to speak about. Like, it will do good and bad. You'll have good days, bad days. But that's why it's like important to look after yourself, right? When you're at camp as well, because that is the realities. It will be up and down.
Absolutely. I think there's two cool things you mentioned in that as well, which were like super important. The first one was the vulnerability side of things, because again, everyone is in the same boat. Yeah. Everyone, like, I guarantee if you're going to chat to someone and you're feeling a bit homesick or down, I'll put money on the fact that 100%. They're going to be the same. Yeah. And although it's not a gender specific thing, I think lads can be bad at that as well. Sometimes kind of just suck it up, get on with it type of thing. I think super important to be able to kind of go, it's a bit tough at the moment. And then I guarantee people go, oh, it is actually.
Because the realities of the program and what you're doing is you're going to potentially a new country the first time. Yeah. You're then in an environment you've never been in before. Absolutely. You're with people you've never met before. You're away from home. Yeah. You've got to learn new skills. All of those things are going to make you feel nervous some days, or perhaps out of your comfort zone. Like,
definitely.
That is the reality of doing the program. As much as it's exciting, you're going to have the best summer, you're going to make all these friends. Also, they're long days. You're not going to have your phone like you do every day at home, those things. So it's like balancing the realities with the good realities, the amazing realities, but also with the ones that might be challenging sometimes.
Well, it ends up being that boss because there's challenges.
Totally.
Isn't it?
And that's how you grow, because now, I mean, I would never have been on camera or been confident speaking, but now, like, I do all these things in my job and it's because of camp.
Yeah.
But rewind to 2016 Lizzie, no chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm the same. I like, even, for example, doing stuff like the podcast, it's easier because we get to chat about camp.
Totally.
Isn't it? And like, that's one of those ones where you might not see that in the first 4 days, and you might not see, the different avenues and doors it opens up further down the line. But that was then going on to your second point, which I loved, was patience as well. Yeah. Because you've got to just deal with it, haven't you, in the beginning, and you get through that. Yeah. What it opens up.
Exactly. Like, you could, and as we'd probably all say, you could change your life in the space of 8 to 10 weeks, whether that just being by making new friends. And like, some of my best friends are all over the world now. But if you don't give it that time and be patient with yourself to be like, okay, is this what I want to do? Is this the right place for me? And probably will be. You'll stay and you'll have the best time. But if you act too quickly, who knows what you're then missing out on? And we'll all say a lot.
Yeah. Well, especially like the last time we had a chat on a podcast, you mentioned about all like your after camp travels. Yeah. Like, if you would have just binned it off after 4 days, it's not happening.
Exactly. And now, like, when I'm like thinking about, should I do this? Can I do this? Yeah. I'll always think back to that first week at camp, like, always. Agreed. Because I'm like, I did that and look at me now. So it is one of those things where you'll look back on yourself and you'll feel super proud.
Absolutely. And I think those sort of personal ways that you've got through it are super cool. I think having those sort of techniques, everyone to their own, but find ways that work for you. Don't be scared to take a breather as well.
Absolutely.
It's intense.
For sure. I mean, Camp Canada, when we were looking at ways that you can help, like, look after your well-being, but it's the same for anybody going to any camp, wherever. Yeah. Things like getting a good night's sleep.
It's big.
I know it's also probably harder than it sounds sometimes at camp. Like, you might want to go and enjoy your evening off camp or whatever it might be, but things like getting a good night's sleep, taking downtime, so whether that be in your rest hour or don't leave camp on a night off, like, just stay in, get an early night. Those things are just like small ways that you can look after your well-being at camp. Or getting involved, like, we know being around nature, obviously you're surrounded by nature at camp, but Absolutely. Being in nature helps you, like, feel less worried. But joining in different sports, being active, like, if that's your way of making yourself feel better, like
do it.
Don't lose sight of it when you're at camp, for sure. Like if it means going for a run in the morning before the campers wake up, make that a priority, right? So like it's like figuring out your ways that help you. Like I said, like talk to people or whatever, but if that's not your thing and something else helps you deal with your anxieties or stress, do them.
Yeah.
You've got to make time for yourself as well at camp. And I think your first summer, super hard, because you just want to do everything. You want to, you know what I mean? And you don't want to miss out on anything.
You go for every opportunity, don't you?
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, yeah.
But if you get burnt out in the summer, that's a problem, because A, for yourself, but also then your campers are affected, your team's affected if you're in a department. So it's like balancing it, which just being aware of it, I think in your first summer is just good, whether you do it or not. But to be aware of it, I think is super important, because you do get swept up in the madness and the excitement of camp.
I think one thing you mentioned there as well, and I want to touch on it because I think Camp Canada and part of the smaller sort of family are fantastic at this. And it's something I noticed when I kind of worked within the business as well, is that there is a huge focus on wellness.
Definitely.
I think, as everyone's mentioned, there's the challenges, but you get to the pot of gold at the end, so to speak, by getting over those challenges. But you guys have worked on some incredible bits of marketing which people may have seen and may not have, in terms of how to protect your wellness. I've seen like you've done like a magazine, and you've yourself been on like Instagram and some of your colleagues and stuff. Talk us through some of those sort of initiatives that you've kind of looked at, because they are definitely applicable to people if they go to camp anywhere around the world.
So apart from like anything that you can do yourself, like taking time for yourself or being active, getting a good night's sleep, even if it's like reading a book, you know what I mean, in your downtime, those things that you can do yourself, but also reach out to people at camp for sure, whether that be from you're struggling, or maybe even what I've learned from doing these initiatives and speaking to people outside of the camping industry. Like I spoke to an occupational therapist about inclusion and that whole spectrum of things that we need to work on. But if you see something that you think can be improved at camp as well in terms of inclusion, or whether it be well-being or anything along those lines, raise your voice.
Absolutely.
That's what I took away from that, was speak to people. And because international staff, she was explaining to me, are so valuable, because you bring in fresh perspective, new eyes. People at camp are so rooted in tradition and how things have been for 10, 100 years or whatever. It's still doing those things because that's like camp. But with fresh eyes, fresh perspective, if you see a way that things can be done better or well-being can be improved at camp, speak about it. Like speak to your unit head, or you don't have to go straight to the top person at camp, like the owner, the camp director. Start like just with the person in your bunk, the next person up in like your unit head. That's the way to like make change and make small steps. So even if you're completely fine all summer and you're like, I've not struggled with anything, amazing. But if you see ways that you can help change things for other people that you know might be struggling, great. Also do that. So everyone can play a part in, I think, helping other people. And then other things we shared was also like professional help as well. Like just because you're at camp and you might be on an island anywhere in Canada or in America and like limited, like you've still got resources at your fingertips, that whether that be the Camp Canada team, the camp leaders team, or further professional help that we can help get for you, or whether you have it already at home, like you can still access all of those things. And it's making people aware, I think, before you go, like, I want to continue this helps me in my well-being, whatever it is, like you've got professional help as well as just
however you go about it.
Exactly. So you've got friends, you've got everyone immediately in front of you at camp that can help you. You've got obviously yourself, but then you've got our team, like you said, here and in America and in Canada. Then you've also got those professional help as well if you need it. So you're never alone. Like that's key. You're never alone.
And I love that, because it is such a despite everyone going through for the decades and decades, going through this journey so we understand it, everyone is completely unique.
Totally.
So everyone will react to stress, to tiredness, to excitement, elation, sadness in a completely different way.
100%.
So it feels like it's a ever evolving area when it comes to summer camp in terms of wellness. And I like what you mentioned there in terms of almost matching up professional help which is out there, Canada bringing what they can to the table, teams with camp leaders and stuff. But at the end of the day, it is up to each individual person as well to find that way, isn't it?
100%. And like in our well-being magazine that we did, we even shared, you know, like just Instagram accounts that you can follow that if that's like what you respond well to, and you do get time off where you can use your phone, like just having a check-in with these things. But it's just having that time to remember, okay, let me just check in with myself. Am I good? Am I not so good? Okay, what am I going to do about it?
For sure.
Just taking that step, and then however you want to deal with it, there's going to be a way, somebody to help you.
Yeah, definitely. I think the support structures at camp are great. I think a lot of the time as well, I'm kind of just thinking back to when I was there, it's very easy to, because you're having an amazing time, but then you remember it's a job. So you're there thinking, oh, well, in a job back home, I can't talk about my mental health or this, that, the other. But camps are very receptive, aren't they, to the fact 100%. That, this is tough. You're coming a long way out the way. So it's not like a traditional, I can't tell me boss something. If you're struggling a bit, would you kind of suggest, look, have a word with someone that you trust in that sort of structure, and they will help?
Exactly. And I think as well, it's important to remember the flip side of that, of being someone that's approachable, that other people can come and talk to you as well, because it might be just between your co-counselors, it might be with your campers, but it's as well as you, if you feel in that situation that you could go speak to someone, also being that person as well that other people can come and speak to, because you do rely on each other. It's a team effort. You've got to look out for each other. Definitely.
And that comes back into what you mentioned about vulnerability, isn't it? Being able to be open enough where you kind of go, it's a bit tough.
Yeah. And at the start of summer, you might be a bit more closed off, but as the summer goes on,
that changes, doesn't it? That changes.
You might see that actually you become more vulnerable. But like even if you only say, you know what, today's not such a good day. I, like you said, I guarantee you someone else is going to say, I'm on that one with you. You know,
on the same wavelength. And people have your back. Like
100%.
It's hard to explain, isn't it? But that's what camp is like. People go, I've got your back.
Totally.
Chill, I've got you.
Exactly. Definitely.
So I think one thing from there, which I'll certainly take away, is the vulnerability, the patient side of things. We will also, maybe if we can, put somewhere the different resources that
for sure.
Camp Canada have done, because I think they're absolutely fantastic and stuff. I know how much you've kind of loved camp yourself and everything, and the different times that you've had. Obviously, you kind of dealt with the challenges that you had initially, because you've went back, four times. So you clearly enjoy it. And you've got a lot of knowledge. You've got a lot which you can pass on to people and stuff. So Byron will have sent me something through, whether it's a video or a question or anything like that. We're going to get your expert input. And so I'll read it out. And you're going to be almost the, what's the word? Agony aunt, is it? Agony aunt Lizzie. And you then kind of let us know what advice you would give to this applicant going through it. So bear with me as I read it out.
It's okay.
Cool. So, what important but often forgotten things should you bring as a camp counsellor? I'll be working as a counsellor for the first time in my life and haven't attended camps myself as a kid, so everything's going to be new. Any tips are appreciated. I'll be in charge of 6 to 12-year-olds. That's a tough one in itself, the 6 to 12-year-olds. They are brilliant. They've got full of energy. I'll be in charge of 6 to 12-year-olds around horses and livestock. I was thinking maybe a mini notebook in case you need to remember something very specific. Kids aren't allowed to use phones and thus shouldn't be constantly see yours with yours too. What else should I bring?
That was very detailed.
It was. Do you know what? Byron's got very good at picking these long ones out as well. So
number one, good luck for 6-year-olds.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, my campers my first year were like 12. So I went 12 and up. So good luck with the young ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so what might you not think but you should take?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because it's one of those where you don't really know until you're actually in the moment as well. But yeah, it can be like, also, I always had some like little games and stuff on me, even like cards or whatever.
I always, even to this day, whenever I travel, I've got a pack of cards.
It's essential.
You can play so many games with cards, even with young kids. You have to play. You could do 52 card pickup if you want. That will keep them entertained.
The worst thing is they'll start going around and doing that to other counsellors, and the amount of time like an 8 or 9-year-old kid's come up throwing a deck of cards at me, and I'm just like, oh, you have to be joking.
Literally. I feel like people would think of this, but definitely pack a speaker.
Yeah.
Because in the bunk, you'll want that with your kids. Yeah. Even like if you have like bunk discos or anything like that, when they're cleaning up, doing their chores, put some music on. Yeah. It is like, you can get so many things out of a playlist as well. So even maybe just like make some bunk friendly, camper friendly playlists ahead of time that you can use. What else would I say? I mean, if you're around horses, don't forget your boots, I guess.
Yeah.
But, that's tough, to be fair, because obviously your camp will give you a packing list. Also, you can always buy, and you will buy stuff when you're away.
Absolutely.
Like, even I always say like toiletries. To be fair, advice on don't bring toiletries, I would say, because
just get them there.
Get them there. They're gonna leave. You're not gonna have weight in your suitcase then. Yeah. I can't really think. I mean, to be honest, if we're talking about well-being, if you feel like you want to, it's always nice to maybe like take pictures from home or take a Polaroid camera where you can take pictures, because you'll often see at camp, like kids as well will bring photos and people stick them up in their bunk or like on their bunk bed, which is always really nice. And it's also a way of the campers getting to know you. Yeah. So many times the campers would be like, who's this in your pictures? And you can be like, this is my brother, or and it just brings that like connection really easily. Absolutely. Do you know what I mean? So I'd just say take photos, even if, you know, you just keep them so no one can see them, or whether you bring them out. I feel like, photos is a good one.
Absolutely. Camp also has your back with stuff like that as well. I had, in the first session, the group of kids that I had, I think they were 14, possibly 15. And one of my favorite nights at camp was, went to the, AV, or where they've got all the equipment and stuff. And one evening, when it was just amazing outside, gorgeous weather, I got a projector.
Nice.
Put the projector on the edge of the camp, on the cabin, and we played Interstellar. That's like my favorite film, or one of them. And I just remember just being like, all the kids were like engrossed. I went to Walmart, got a load of snacks. Yeah. They were just eating and then just buzzing around the place because of the sugar. And then
backfired that then, didn't it?
I thought that was a clever thing to keep them quiet. It wasn't. And but I just, little moments like that where I didn't necessarily take that stuff with me. Yeah. But camp there's so much there, isn't there?
100%. And like, I always say to people, like, you use the stuff at camp, like take your kids to different departments. Like if you want to do something like that, just go ask.
Give it a go. Yeah.
Exactly. Because there'll be something or someone that can help you do it. And it could be like that, amazing memories. So
they do. They just do become memories. So that's really cool. I really like that.
And I mean, the campers also love getting their picture taken.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Picture. Like they love it.
And it's funny, like especially with people who aren't American as well. It's almost as though we're like a trophy picture. Yeah. Like, I got me mate from England.
Yeah,
and stuff
literally.
Like that. Yeah. It's a bit of a throwback, that one, isn't it?
I can't really think of anything else that you should take but haven't really thought about. Because also, like I said, if you've not got it, you can buy it.
There's stores everywhere.
Exactly. Everywhere. You'll have time, days off or evenings, or you can also just go on Amazon and order stuff. It will come to camp. So,
This might be a silly question. I always lived in Walmart. Is there Walmart in Canada?
There is.
Oh, there is, yeah. I actually didn't know that. I was there thinking, is there or is there not?
There is.
Okay, cool. Well, do you know what? Even like going to Walmart for me was like a memory because it's such a mad place and there's that much stuff. And they're the types of ones which people may not necessarily see on people's social media because you're not going to stick Walmart on necessarily on your social media, but it's such a laugh going as well.
One of the things I actually love about camp is like in the outside world, day to day, I'm always on my phone. Guilty. I love Instagram, you know, all of those things. And at camp, one of the challenges for some people is you're not going to be glued to your phone. Absolutely. You are less connected from the outside world, so you're not going to know what your friends are doing at home, etc. But honestly, that's one of the best things about camp, is being disconnected. And also you'll realize at the end of the summer, you're like, wow, I've not missed it.
Lizzie, honestly, like I still look back now and think that was one of the best things, because like people say before, like you go, oh, top tips, get yourself like an American sim or anything like that. I swerved it because I didn't want to have the opportunity to always get on. So I love that one. And
like the times that you would be able to go on your phone, let's say if you've got a night off or a day off, if you're sat in the staff room on your phone, you're not out with your friends making memories in America, in Canada, or you might miss these opportunities. Like, so it's like one of those things. It's like at first you might be like, this is going to be awful. I can't do this. When in actual fact, at the end of it, I bet you're saying, love that.
I love it. Yeah. Literally just get the odd memory, capture the odd memory and stuff, but don't live your summer through your phone. Live it through yourself.
And I think as well, like thinking about well-being, we can't, like, we know social media has amazing benefits, but also negatives to it.
Absolutely.
Mainly, like one of them being on your well-being and your mental health. If you just disconnect for the summer from it, I think you'll already feel better in yourself.
You'll feel so much better. I think that's a real cool thing. It's about finding that balance, isn't it? And camp almost enforces that balance type of thing. So no,
it's a good thing.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like calling it like just like a highlight reel.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like that. And the great thing, you don't have to document everything. I get it. The waffles are fantastic. You don't have to take picture of every waffles you eat type of thing. Enjoy it. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the laughs. Go swimming. Leave your phone at home. Just just get through it.
Exactly. And the more time that you're not on your phone, you're in nature, that's so good for you. Like, it's proven, isn't it, that like being in nature is good for your mental health, it's good for your well-being. And honestly, the end of that summer, I think everyone will feel better. You might feel a bit more tired. But overall, like, you'll see the benefits of those things that maybe at first you're like, oh, not sure about that. At the end, you'll be like, love that.
Yeah, I think it's left for me quite a lasting one, because I kind of came off social media, but I've now found my balance and stuff. And I think that's everything what it is. It's I think it's really important to connect with people and be able to have almost a memory bank that you can look 100%. Back on. Just find the right balance.
Yeah, and one of the things I just thought about in terms of some of the research that I did when thinking about these resources for Camp Canada and wellbeing, when we looked at ways to deal with worrying and anxiety, one of them was, and now I've completely forgotten it. What was it? What were you just talking about?
In terms of the phone and like how often you're spending on it, or taking a reset, going back into the environment. And
I've completely forgotten, Mike.
Fantastic. We've got an edit button.
It was really good as well. What was it going to be? Be on the present. Yeah. Because you were saying, what were you saying?
In terms of live your life, not through your phone, but through literally yourself.
And you were saying like, no, you weren't saying.
But be present is true.
You know what I mean? You just, if you're on your phone, you're not present in the moment. And camp is literally all about being present in the moment, whether that be with your campers, in your own time, and you're just having a run by yourself, going for a walk, or with your friends on a day off. Be in the moment, because that's when all the memories are going to be made, and that's what you're going for.
It's like almost a scaled down version or scaled up version of, if you ever have a conversation with someone, say like if we're sat there chatting and I'm just there like, I know what you mean. I'm not fully plugged into that conversation. And it's so similar with the memories and opportunities that you have. If you're not plugged into them, you're going to miss them.
And camp is also like, and again, to do with making sure your well-being is good, genuine connections, authentic connections that you'll get from summer camp. If you're not present in that moment, also campers can notice it as well. Like, they're not stupid. Like, they can see when you're not bothered. They can see when you're checked out at the end of the day. Like, so you've got to be present in the moment for everyone, yourself, your co-counselors, your campers, because everyone, it's like that whole, everyone works together.
And it's one thing where and again, going back onto what we mentioned there about balance, it's kind of why I do enjoy then seeing people's social media posts about it, because everyone, you'll be forced to learn that in camp, where you can't live on your phone.
Yeah.
But those moments that people do capture are the ones that people remember forever.
Definitely.
Because you're like, I've got to remember this.
Yeah.
A mental snapshot won't just be enough. So I think you find that balance, and that's something I'd like to ask you about, is a couple of those moments where you've obviously went, this is boss.
Yeah.
And I'd like to capture that in
Go
person.
for it.
So if I end up scrolling through now, let's have a look. We'll just pick, let's just pick one out. Okay. So you've got loads here. I can see all the different camp ones and stuff. The one I am going to pick is this fantastic one. I think you're traveling Canada here.
Yeah.
Where, so I'll bring it up now, and I'm sure Byron's going to be able to share this on the screen. I notice our very own Byron's in this one, absolutely flexing the guns. It seems to be in this one. Go on, Byron, but talk us through this one here. I need a full breakdown of who's taken this. Was this planned? And who decided on the poses? Oh, you're gonna see it. I think it's brilliant.
Okay, so
I love it.
This is with Byron and Jack, and this is last year when we visited Canada. We went to see camps, and we were in Toronto. And this is specifically Graffiti Alley, which is a whole alley in like the west of Toronto, and it's just all like local street art and artists. It's really cool. If you're ever in Toronto, like definitely go there. You can take a picture like ours. I think it was one of our camp friends that took the picture. But I mean, look at that squad. That's a dream team right there.
That is a dream
Anything
team.
For the content.
I love that.
And you're gonna flex?
It's a great flex as well. What? Byron's there still wondering.
Byron's gonna cut all of this out.
Yeah. No, I'll be disappointed if he does, because that's a great photo.
It is, yeah.
So, and that was part of a content trip. So you'd been to different camps in a Camp Canada capacity, was it?
Yeah. And then we were in Toronto afterwards, and now like we've spoken about it, and it's a really popular spot actually. Like if you are traveling after camp or before you go to camp, if you arrive early, definitely check it out. It is really cool, and it's actually like all local artists. So it's definitely worth going there.
I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, so this would have to get signed off. But if anyone goes to this spot, if you can pull off the pose that these three are doing, I honestly think we should have a competition for the best alternative of this.
We could have probably had a better.
Do you know what? Well, I think Byron's done his bit to ensure that the picture's the best possible picture there. So I absolutely love it. But all joking aside, that's one of those ones where you do have some of the most amazing times, don't you, afterwards, where you kind of go, oh, I wasn't planning to go here, I wasn't planning to go there. I'm sure you wouldn't even know that place existed until you actually go to these places, but you've got to say yes to those opportunities.
Exactly. And just also walk around and see what you stumble upon, or ask locals as well, because we found out about this through local people that live in Toronto, and they told us about it. So speak to people, like I said, speak to people at camp, outside camp, and who knows what you'll find.
I love it. Well, very last thing before I let you go.
Do I not get to do my other picture?
Oh, we could do two.
Yeah,
do you want to do two?
In case he cuts that out.
Go on, we'll do the one other one there.
Yeah.
So.
Because I don't trust Byron will not cut that out.
So let's have a look. So there's one here. This looks like a proper summer camp picture, this one, because you mentioned you'd done high ropes, didn't you? So let's have a look here. Okay. Talk us through this one, because for me, this is such like a quintessential summer camp picture. This is either in the woods up high or it's on a lake. Yeah,
true. This is my first summer, 2016, and this was my high ropes and climbing was my activity. So I worked in that department, and this is all the guys that I worked in the department with. So it was 8 of us. Yeah, 8 of us. And honestly, we were so close. We had the best relationships. Like we hung out like evenings off, days off, and from all over the world as well. Like as we say, like I know we say you're gonna make friends from all over the world,
but you do.
Facts. Like right there we did, and I still speak to literally most of them still to this day. Like honestly, it was really good, and that's like way up in the trees, so that was a really cool photo to capture. But yeah, I had the best summer. I Never thought I would do high ropes and climbing. Did it for 2 years afterwards. But again, just saying yes to opportunities.
Absolutely.
I didn't think I was going to do that, and I did it, and it was the best time.
That's the beauty of summer camp, isn't it? The amount of opportunities that come up, if you fancy saying yes to it, go in with an open mind and say, yeah, do you know what? I'll give that a shot.
Exactly.
You'll have such a laugh.
Exactly. Loved it.
Amazing. Well, before I let you go, I always do the little takeaway part. Okay. So again, this will go out probably within the next week or so. Loads of people who are flying out, a lot of first timers will be going to Canada, will be going to America. I am going through different smaller Earth programs. If you could give your 5 tips to a first timer, might be a bit nervous or might be excited, it makes no difference. What would be your 5 tips? Okay.
I'm just going to go from the top of my head. I don't want to think too much about it. Definitely throw yourself in as much as you can, because the more you put in, the more you'll get out from the experience.
Absolutely.
Be patient with yourself. If you're nervous, if you're worried, if you're out of your comfort zone, just give it time. And trust me, it will be okay. Third, I would say speak to people, like we've spoken about. Speak to people if you are unsure of anything, whether that be at camp, Camp Canada, camp leaders, or at home. Definitely don't bottle it up. Speak to people, because there will be other people feeling like you do. Fourth, just take care of yourself during the summer. As much as it's an amazing experience, so much excitement, it's gonna be so busy. Don't forget to look after yourself as well, because your health is also your priority as well during the summer. And then kind of like what you said, just say yes to everything, to new opportunities. You never know what's going to come up. So just be open-minded, go in with an open mind, open heart, and say yes.
Open mind, open heart, say yes. I love that. Yeah. Well, first off, enjoy the trip to Canada. I'm looking forward to seeing you recreate the pose from a picture, which hopefully Byron hasn't cut out of this video, because I absolutely loved it. But yeah, have a great trip. I'm guessing if any applicants from Camp Canada or even camp leaders, they can get in touch through the Camp Canada team, ask any questions.
Any contact us through social, same for any program, socials, email, phone. You've also got the emergency line if there's any problems during the summer that are an emergency, but we'll always respond on any way that you get through to us, so reach out.
Amazing. And probably at this rate we'll end up doing another podcast for next season, so
I'll see you back here in a year.
Literally, it's a once a year thing, isn't it? But no, nice one, mate, for dropping by.
Thank you for having me.
Really enjoyed it.
Fab. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Camp Leaders podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to pop us a like and subscribe and follow for more summer camp content.